From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up! WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
and this is Wake Up War Chant, presented by Zaxby's
Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What up, everybody? It's Wake Up War Chant presented by Zaxby's. I'm Aslan. Corey Clark joining me as always, because that's what we do here at WarChant.com. Every single day during football season, well, at least 5 days a week, bringing it to you right here on this very podcast. Subscribe to it if you could, rate, review it, all that good stuff. If you're not a member of WarChant.com, what are you waiting for? Come on, the season's almost about to start. Use the promo code ADIDAS. ADIDAS. It's Adidas. Use that promo code. You'll get 25% off a membership, and you'll get a $75 e-card to use on Adidas.com. It's almost here, Corey. It's so close.
What is that? You're talking about the Florida-Miami game?
Yeah. Let's go.
It is. It is. It's a couple days away now, right? Like
Yeah,
48 hours or 70 hours or something like that.
Yeah, depending on when you're listening to this, everybody. Yeah, it's crazy. Good for those two idiots playing and, entertaining us. Hopefully it's just, massive attrition, destruction from both teams.
You know what I heard? I don't know if I heard this or read it on the internet, but the reason they're playing August 24th is because the people at Disney didn't realize that, or the people at ESPN didn't realize that they're opening up the new Star Wars exhibit the weekend of opening day, so August 31st. So they're opening up the huge Star Wars exhibit now that they're going to have at Disney World because they own Star Wars. So I think Miami and Florida were scheduled to play August 31st, but they made them scoot it up a week as to free up a bunch of hotel rooms for all the Star Wars nerds. That's what I read on the internet, I think. I don't know if that's true or not, but I thought that was interesting.
Nerds, Gators, and Canes. There you go. Match made in
Perfect.
heaven.
Absolutely.
Match
It was
made in
like
heaven.
the Alabama-Florida State opener in Atlanta when it was also Dragon Con.
Oh,
So you
was
had
it?
all the goofballs dressed up as princesses and lizards, and then you had the people with the pig noses on their faces with Tide boxes on the side of their heads.
The Gumps.
And you're looking at them like, all right, well, who's dumber?
Yeah.
Probably the Alabama people, right?
Yeah, most likely. Gumps. That's what they call them. They call them Gumps.
Gumps. Yeah, sure.
Enjoy yourselves. All right, Corey, a couple things to get to before we hop on the ponies and do this Renegade Express thing. Practice on Wednesday. We'll talk a little bit about that. By the way, practice later today on Thursday, as you're listening to this, will be the final preseason practice open to the media. They moved it up to like 3 in the afternoon, Corey, so I get to go out there and bake. You're welcome.
Oh, they did. They moved it up from 7 to 3?
Yeah, I think Willie saw how
Okay.
happy I'd been the last few days and was like, let's get this guy. Let's get him back in line.
Sure.
This guy's been too positive. He's been too upbeat lately. I don't want him to be happy. Appreciate you, Willie. Yeah, 3:30 is when it's going to go. Actually, yeah, we'll talk to Willie at 3:30, and then 4 o'clock we'll be able to watch practice. So on Wednesday, I was stationed over by the defensive side of things. Marvin doing work per usual. Dude, I really want to hit – there's like this specific sled, the defensive line. Well, actually, I've seen the linebackers hit it too. But it just must be really heavy because everybody absolutely struggles pushing this thing. But Marvin was like the only one that was just driving it in a straight line at a very fast pace. And, again, Odell's just like, keep your elbows in. I don't know what to yell at you. You're really good at this, but I need to yell at you because that's what I do. I got to motivate my guys. So Marvin looked real good. And then I was watching the linebackers for a minute. They were doing blitzes and then blitz pickup with the running backs. And Cam Akers had a couple good wins, stymied Dontavius Jackson and Jaleel McRae. Jaden Lars Woodby had some good victories in that drill as well. Cornerbacks, defensive backs, I think they were working on some cover 2 concepts because I heard Harlan yelling out, this is what we're going to do in cover 2, so putting 2 and 2 together with my bright mind. Was able to watch that. But it's tough to tell how much they're accomplishing because you have cornerbacks pretending to run routes, maybe at like 70% speed, and then you got Harlan tossing it up like he's throwing the ball to his son in the backyard, and they just jump up and try to high point it. And I'm not talking down on it. It's hard to judge exactly what they're really getting out of it. And then when they went to that hurry up, no huddle, 11 on air stuff with the offense, Blackman started out there with the first team, and then Alex Hornibrook came in there and led them back the other way. Missed one of his throws. I mean, it happens. This is the part where I'm at right now, Corey, where, I don't want to go all Allen Iverson and be like, man, we're just talking about practice. But it's all we're able to really see and judge them on right now. I don't know what point. I just kind of try to think, is this the way Alabama or Clemson looks, which probably isn't the right way to do things. But I wonder how crisp practices look at top 5 programs on August 21st,
I mean, I can't imagine they're overly crisp, and I also can't imagine that any coach is like, holy moly, are we awesome. We are going to smack the crap out of whoever we play this season. Like, nobody, I think, is like that. You know what I mean? Like, there's always stuff to nitpick on and to work on. And obviously, Florida State coming off 5-7, there's plenty to work on. But, yeah, I wouldn't think anybody's, like, overly crisp.
I'm not trying to be overly critical, obviously, of anything that happened out there. Health-wise, Josh Kando was out there. Levante Taylor was out there participating. I didn't see any sort of wrap or brace on, the back of Kando around his hamstring. So who knows what that means. Brady Scott did go down for a minute in the end zone and was getting his ankle spatted and taped back up. So he's just going to probably be dealing with that sort of a thing. Brady's a tough dude, I feel like. And, I even made the observation when we were walking off the fields on Wednesday, he's like, Brady looks like an NFL offensive lineman. Not saying he's performing or will be, but just looks. And he didn't remember him looking that way. And that seems to be the case. They physically look good. And, sometimes in practice there's high points, there's low points, but otherwise, it's probably par for the course, like you said. And most every other team is having these sort of moments, flashes and whatnot at practice. So we'll be back out there later today. That'll be the last practice we watch for the preseason. And then, dude, that's it. We'll kickoff luncheon is on Friday. Yeah, it's on Friday. And then we'll talk to Willie on Monday, and that's game week. It's game week, Corey. It's here. It is almost here. I'm excited.
It's crazy. It's crazy how we've made it. And it doesn't even feel like, normally it feels like a complete and utter, slow slog to the finish line.
Yep.
When it comes to actually college football starting. I don't know if it's because, literally the first time in each of our lives, Florida State's coming off a losing season. So maybe the offseason, there wasn't so much energy and excitement. But either way, it just feels like it snuck up on us, and here we are. It's time to go.
Yeah, it's the longest offseason we've ever had to endure, and sure enough, it feels
exactly right.
Well, kind of fast. Before we get to the questions, one other thing I wanted to mention, we didn't talk about this on the show yesterday, which is my fault because I'm supposed to write everything down that we're going to talk about on the show. So the backpack, I did not listen to the actual interview that Willie did with Danny Cannell, but it sounds like the backpack is no longer a thing. So that's a plus for me, I think.
Okay. Yeah, it's a plus for everyone. It was just idiotic.
Okay.
I don't mean to be rude. I'm sure their hearts were in the right place when they came up with securing the bag or whatever.
Right.
But it was just awful. It was the worst of it. Everybody had a gimmick, and Florida State's was the worst. And an adult should have stepped up and said, no, we're not doing this. We're not going to have you wear a JanSport as the reward for getting a turnover. Maybe that's why y'all don't ever want to intercept a pass. Is because you have to put that thing on your back afterwards. It just didn't make it. Like, if you're going to do a secure the bag, you get a bag like the in the old-timey 30s or 40s movies where they would rob banks and they would have the money symbol on the white, pillowcase-looking things.
Right.
That's what you do, right? You don't get a JanSport. You don't get something that my kid's taking to middle school and putting on his bag. There's nothing that says, hey, big-time college football with that thing. So
magenta
it is
leather
good
backpack, bad move. Just magenta leather backpack is never the right play, ever.
At all. So we got that now. We understand it. So hopefully they've learned. Maybe they won't do anything at all, or maybe they're going to do something really cool. My suggestion the other night on Twitter was a Bane mask. I think that would be awesome if they all took turns wearing a Bane mask from Batman, whichever one that was, Batman and the Fire Begins or whatever it was called.
Sure.
But the Bane mask would be cool, but anything is cooler than the backpack. Literally anything. It could be a head of lettuce. Like if you intercept a pass, you have to eat a head of lettuce. Or throw a head of lettuce at the horse. You have to feed the horse with a head of lettuce. Anything would be cooler than just wearing a backpack. So I'm glad that Willie finally is on record saying that that's not going to be happening anymore.
Do you think the person who ordered it, was there any approval, or were they tasked with just find us a bag that we're going to, quote, secure? Did they use their own personal credit card and then get reimbursed, or do you think they had a company credit? Like, these are the things that I want to know.
Or was it just one of the players? It's like, hey, why don't we use this? Hey, let me take my chemistry book out. Why don't we use this? I don't know. I don't know whose idea it was or whose money it was on, but it was just an awful, awful idea. But yeah, I hope they didn't get reimbursed. I hope if they were dumb enough to buy that off Amazon, thinking, oh yeah, this is going to be, you got the turnover chain. Well, wait till you see this thing. That you deserve to lose that $150 or however much that thing cost.
I think they should have a cool backdrop with like 2 professional lights on it, and then you just run on the sideline and you run over to it, and there's a professional photographer who snaps a photo of you mugging and posing and then uploads it to Instagram. And then you just
like a red carpet.
Yes.
Like a red carpet thing.
Yes.
That's not a bad idea.
Like a garnet carpet.
Literally any idea. We probably come up with would you say a dozen
at least.
Or 20 ideas on this show since the backpack was debuted.
Yes.
They've all been at least twice as good as the backpack.
I'll remember being in the press box during the Sanford game and someone just saying, "Oh no," and then looking on Twitter and being like, what are we doing?" Anywho, that's that. Hey man, let's hop on our ponies here.
All right.
So Renegade Express is now sponsored by First Commerce Financial. First Commerce Financial, Corey, is a peer mortgage broker that works with several lenders to get you the best possible rate, whether you're looking to buy a home or refinance your current one. Their mission is to provide transparent mortgage solutions to help you grow your overall net worth. They also eliminate the junk fees associated with most mortgages, which means additional savings for you. If you mention War Chant, they will waive the appraisal fee for qualified borrowers. To begin the process for your next mortgage or to ask questions, they invite you to call 248-207-2404 or visit firstcommercefinancial.com. Licensed in Florida, Michigan, Arizona, and California. That's my favorite part of it. What was your favorite part of that?
I like the end, man. That was clutch. Yeah, I like when you do the auctioneer type voice right there at the end.
Yeah, you got to do that sort of stuff. So, yeah, First Commerce Financial. Check them out. They now are presenting sponsor of the Renegade Express. With that said,
and good for them. And how smart are they, by the way, to hop on this thing?
I mean, folks, we told you.
I feel like I told you about a year ago, but this bandwagon is getting almost completely full. And, smart people anyway, want to be on board riding this thing.
Right. We're going to be like NASCAR pretty soon. I'll have like a title in front of my name. Like, some schools like Michigan, Jim Harbaugh is not the head coach. Jim Harbaugh is something like the Thomas and Kathy O'Malley leader of men head coach at the University. It's the most bizarre thing. It's Stanford does it as well, too. You rich blue blood people need to figure out something else to do with your time.
I'll be presented by Tide.
Okay.
I don't care.
Here we go. All right, here we go. First question. Knowles fan from South Florida. Wake up! Every time I hear Aslan mention Zaxby's, I just get reminded that there are no locations down here in South Florida. And the only time I can actually eat it is when I'm in town for a game. Need locations in South Florida, like yesterday. I hope some Zaxby's execs listening to this. Come on, let's get on it. But yeah, just eat in Tallahassee. That's the best place to eat your Zaxby's. It's like
it's really bizarre though. Miami is a huge population. Zaxby's is really good and really popular in every city it's in. So it's odd that Zaxby's hasn't branched out to Miami or the South Florida area in general. They need to get that thing going.
Maybe we can do that, Corey. Maybe we'll start a franchise down there.
All right, I'm with you on that. Okay. Absolutely.
Football. I found it interesting in Taggart's presser the other day that a, quote, starting quarterback has not been named, unquote. I was in the assumption that Blackman would indeed enter the season as a starter. Maybe this is the head guy not wanting to tip his cap to Boise too soon, or it could mean that there is a legit quarterback competition going on now at camp. In your opinion, scale from 1 to 10, excluding injury, Blackman starts the entire season as a starter, 1 to 10.
Oh, I'll say an 8.5 on that.
Just
excluding injury, yeah,
no,
8.5.
Well, here's the thing. There's Blackman starts the entire season as a starter. Alex Hornibrook starts up to 5 games. Jordan Travis starts 1 game. A scale of 1 to 10. I'll say Blackman the entire season. I mean, he did go the entire 17 season without missing time, but there's the whole thing that Bryles, like a quarterback, has never made it through an entire season without getting hurt. So I'll say, but there's 2 bye weeks. I can't. I'll say like a 4. I mean, it's a lot. That's 15 weeks of football. Well, 14 weeks of football, 12 games, 2 bye weeks. I'll say a 4.
Yeah, but you're not worried about injury because he said don't worry about injury.
Oh, okay. Excluding. Oh, you're right. Look at it. It's right in front of my face.
So it's who's gonna. It would have to be Blackman doesn't play well enough, and Hornibrook starts in his place because he's a better option.
Well, this will be interesting because Willie never wavered with DeAndre Francois, despite the struggles. He never put it on him. Would he be the same with James Blackman? All right. Well, in that case, I'll go with a 7, just to shade you a little bit. Hornibrook starting up to 5 games, scale of 1 to 10, with 10 I guess being definite slam dunk. Starting up to 5 without injury, I'll take a 1.
Yeah, me too. 0.5.
Yeah, geez. Jordan Travis starting a game, I would take that at like a 2. But that's injury. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I would say 1. Yeah, I don't.
I'd say 1 on that too. I think the odds of him starting a game are better than Hornibrook starting 5. And I will say when it comes to Taggart not naming the starter, I know there have been other starters named around the country. It really doesn't make it serves you no purpose in this day and age with the portal being what it is to name a starter before Thursday of the first game.
Where's Hornibrook going to go though, Corey? Hornibrook has no recourse.
But what if Hornibrook's winning the job? What if Hornibrook wins?
Oh, okay. Plot twist.
No, I'm just saying, like it
you're
does.
Right. You're right. You're
no
right.
Good either way, and it gets Hornibrook practicing for the next week, like he's trying to be the starter, as opposed to pouting or quitting or whatever he might do if he's not. And then what would Blackman do if he was not named the starter? I mean, I don't know that any one of us could blame him for being like, all right, man, I'm going somewhere else. This place doesn't love me. Like, I get all that. Like, I would understand that too. So it just does you no good, as easy it is for all these guys to transfer now, to name a starter before you absolutely have to. So I wouldn't, if I was Willie Taggart, I wouldn't name a starter before Thursday night or Friday night. I don't know. It does me no good to name it. I don't think it changes Boise State at all. Like, I don't think Boise State, all right, now let's put our Hornibrook defense in. Okay, now let's put our Blackman defense in. That's not happening because I wouldn't think there's any difference between the two. They're not practicing differently for one of those guys or the other. But I do think that for Willie Taggart's purposes, it serves no purpose to name one before you absolutely have to.
Would you cringe if I asked Willie whether or not that has a factor in his decision-making, the timeline, just with the fact that this portal thing exists now?
Cringe, I don't know if I'd cringe, but I think his answer and the reality are going to be different. He can't answer that correct. He can't answer that honestly, truthfully.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Knowles fan from South Florida says, thanks for everything you do. Go Knowles. P.S. Stating it again. Zaxby's, South Florida, Pembroke Pines, preferably.
Let's go. Let's go, Zaxby's.
Say that.
Get off your hiney and get down there.
Mr. Clutch _1992. Wake up to answer. My 3-hour drive for work. Well, I work at night and I deliver freight, so 3 hours from start to finish, not 3 hours just to commute to my job.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that makes more sense.
That would be horrible, he says. I could not imagine gas prices. Well, ask Corey. He pretty much does it.
I do that all the time.
Anyhow, I think James Blackman will get the nod, and from the terrific content on Jay Williams posted, I'm super excited to see this guy hopefully get another chance. I guess that's Jawan Williams. Seems to me like he was forced into a role last year and was completely not ready physically for it. Side question, do you guys play fantasy football? If so, is it PPR or half-point PPR? That's points per reception. Who is in your lineup? Keep up the hard work. We are not worthy. Corey, you're the real MVP.
Absolutely. Great post. Great question. I will say I haven't played fantasy football in probably 7 or 8 years, maybe 10 years. Just because, I find myself rooting against the Falcons. Like, oh, man, Torrey Holt, this is to date me. Torrey Holt really needs a big game here. Let's hope he can get free and get a couple touchdowns. And it's like, okay, am I rooting for my stupid team so I can win $40 at the end of the year? or am I rooting for my? Now I get it if you're playing in a big dog league where there's like $100 entry fee and there's real money. But the people that just are playing for like $50 at the end of the year, $100 at the end of the year, I'm like, I don't know, man. I'd rather see my football team win. You know what I mean? But I will say this: I was in a PPR league, and that to me seems more like it rewards you. Like Julio Jones, 2 years ago or whatever it was, had like 2 touchdowns, but he led the league in receptions. And it's like, okay, so if you're a Julio Jones owner, you're only getting like 5 points. If he has 6 catches for 108 yards, you're only getting 5 points for that. That seems crazy. That's a good game. That's an awesome game. So I like the PPR leagues. If I ever did it again, I would definitely make sure to join a PPR league and not one that doesn't count it or just does half PPR.
I've been in the same league now for 17 years. I tried to get out of the last 2 years, but they keep pulling.
What do you play for? What's the reward at the end?
It's 14 teams. Everybody pitches in $100. I always thought it was $1,000 to first, $300 to second, and then third place got their money back. But it's some sort of weird percentage. It's like $966 to first place, $500 to second place, then third place gets something. I think we had somebody split the pot one year, like they threw the championship game. So I think that might have been a reaction to it. But yeah, it's like, close to $1,000. But
okay, well, that's worth it, right?
Yeah,
that's worth doing it.
It's PPR. It's half point. I would take Michael Thomas from the Saints because he's going to catch like a bazillion balls. He's the only guy that catches footballs. And
he catches like 120. Yeah. You're guaranteed of getting like 8 to 10 points a week just from his catches.
Yeah,
every year.
Next question, BML07. The only question that matters, gentlemen. We riding with the good guys to cover. I hopped all over that line at -4. Curious what your thoughts are. Go Noles. He's in Denver. Shout out.
Shout out to Denver. Great state, great city. So the Noles are favored by 4?
Apparently, yeah, -4.
Oh, how's that taste, Boise? Wait, you win like 86% of your games, and you're playing a team that's coming off a 5-7 season with a quarterback that didn't even play, and you're a 4-point underdog? Good grief. Yeah, man, I was. Somebody asked me this week if I thought Florida State was going to win, and I go, yeah, I think so, but I do it with like a cringe, I don't know, man. I think, but I'm not 100% sure. So I would say this: if you think Florida State's going to win, then yeah, it's just 4 points. Maybe they can win a game 34-13 or something. Is there any possible way that happens?
34-13, I doubt it. I highly doubt it. I don't know. They are probably going to – they still haven't announced their star, but that Bachmeier kid, this Hank Bachmeier kid, true freshman, is most likely going to be their starting quarterback. And it just – I don't know. The ghosts of Jimbo and Bobby still float in your head. There's no way a true freshman is going to come into the house that Xavier Lee built and light up the Noles. Even if this defense is still going to be with shaky sea legs going to this 3-4. I mean, I don't know if Florida State's going to hang 30, but, I mean, that kid can't hang 29, 28 on Florida State, can he?
I mean, you wouldn't think.
Covering 4. Yeah, they'll cover, I guess. I hate betting. I don't want to talk about it. Next question, Boom Kid, FSU. Happy belated birthday, Aslan. Actually, I want to go back. Thank you, Boom Kid FSU. I know Boise's a successful program, but can you just close your eyes for a second, Corey, and just imagine the headline on a paper, Boise tops FSU. Just like losing to Boise State. I know it's not, Jacksonville State, but that would just hurt my feelings. You lost to Boise
look,
State.
Man. They almost lost to Samford last year. They did lose to name a team. Boise State wins a lot of games every year. They're certainly not like a cupcake. So yeah, I could definitely see that. I would not be stunned at all if Boise State won this game.
Yeah. Boom Kid FSU. Guys, I still cannot get over the 2018 slogan, do something. It's time to talk about it again. I work in healthcare. If someone is yelling at you to, quote, do something, that is not good. I've had family members yell at me to do something when the patient is about to deteriorate. That means plan A through Z have failed. The patient is about to code, die, whatever. We cannot have our slogan communicate that we are unprepared. 1, 2, 3, dominate. Go Noles. Anything but do something. Dude,
I feel like do something
absolutely.
is a lot like do anything.
Do
Like
something
just do
is
anything.
bad.
Do whatever you can. I get that. I see what he's saying. Absolutely.
Like, do something. Do something. Like that's what when I see do something. I know he tries to put a cool twist on it, but that's how I hear it said in my head. He's absolutely right. If they did this, if it was a sitcom, if this was Coach, like Hayden Fox, and they had the scene where the AD and the president get on a plane and rendezvous in Phoenix with this new coach, and they're like, oh, we've heard all these great things about him. And he walks in, and they're like, give us your vision. Like, what's your slogan? And he's like, wait for it. Do something. Like, the canned laughter from the audience would be cranked up to a 9.
Yeah, and I think, again, it's the delivery. Like, the way Willie says do something,
Right.
we get that, right? We're like,
something.
yeah, okay, yeah, go out and do something. Do your job. Do something. But
No.
the way most people say do something isn't in that tone. It's more like, can you do something, please? Please do something. Do anything.
Yeah, it's not.
Hashtag do anything.
Yeah. Okay. Also, Aslan, can you pull up some of your pre-2018 season recordings? I remember your preseason 2018 enthusiasm was awesome to listen to. Unfiltered preseason Kool-Aid is the best Kool-Aid. I was right there with you, buddy. Yeah, maybe we'll do something fun like that. Maybe I'll do something, and I will find those recordings and put something together for you folks.
Yeah, Aslan, can you do something? Like anything, really. Can you just do something?
I'll try.
Again, that sounds negative, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Sabaxley 1212. Aslan Corey. Wake up! With the start of the ACC network, I have a question. If for some reason Florida State and the ACC split ways, what conference would be a contender for FSU to call home, and which one would you like to see FSU join? Love the show. You guys are the best. Football season is here.
There we go. I would say the Mountain West.
I was going to say the Western Athletic Conference. I think the WAC would probably be a little bit better.
The WAC would be – which one's Hawaii in?
I think they're in the WAC.
They're not in the Mountain West. It feels like they play Boise a lot. But yeah, they're probably. Yeah, I would guess they're in the WAC. But obviously, if they weren't in the ACC, you would think, and I don't think that's ever going to happen. Like now, they got a network. They're invested. They're committed. That whole ship has sailed as far as switching conferences in my mind. So I would guess that would be if the ACC just ceased to exist. I would think the SEC would make a run at Clemson and Florida State. Would be the only two they would really care about. Maybe get Duke for basketball reasons, Duke and North Carolina. But you would hope and you would think that it would be the SEC. None of the other ones make sense geographically or just
culturally,
fan wise.
Yeah, you were right. They are in the Mountain West, Hawaii.
Oh, there you go. Right, kind of crazy that Hawaii. I mean, I guess Hawaii has mountains.
Yeah, they do,
and they're definitely out west.
They are.
Absolutely. Have you ever been to Hawaii?
I never have been. No, I have not.
It's really pretty, buddy. You should go there sometime on your honeymoon, and that's going to happen eventually.
Yeah, hopefully.
No doubt in my mind that you're going to have a honeymoon at some point in your life.
Do it?
You need to go to Maui. Okay. It's clutch. It's really, really nice.
I was in a crossword puzzle today. Like, we didn't get Hawaii until 59? Something like that?
And you know what's crazy about that? I didn't know it was 59. I knew it was in the 50s. But, because when Pearl Harbor happened, it was a territory. It wasn't like they didn't bomb one of our states. Right. They bombed a territory. Now, they bombed our soldiers and all our ships. But it wasn't like they bombed California. But what's crazy out there is I went out there for my honeymoon, actually, with Shanna. We went to Maui, and we were there for July 4th. And I don't know why, but it just seemed odd. Like you saw these signs celebrating July 4th, Independence Day, and you're like, oh, yeah, Hawaii's a state. It just feels like it's such a different locale. It feels like a foreign destination. Yeah. But, yeah, it's our 50th state.
It is.
And it's a great state. I'd much rather go to Hawaii than Alaska or 25 other states.
I mean, could you imagine us renting a boat, like getting a nice, renting an Airbnb like in Gatlinburg, and then driving out to a point on the river, getting a boat, and then boating up to Neyland Stadium and storming it like freaking Normandy? Can you imagine going to the Grove and just smoke shows and sundresses and heels? Going to Mississippi State, yanking a cowbell away from somebody and throwing it and laughing at them. Just all the cultural sort of things that would come together if Florida State was in the SEC. It'd be amazing. But hey,
I thought, I was wondering where that was going because I was like, we were talking about Hawaii, I thought.
gotta bring your A
And
game.
you switched it to the SEC.
You gotta bring your
Yeah, I mean, Florida State's always been a more natural fit for the SEC because it's a football fan base, and we know all their traditions and all their histories. And who in the ACC has football tradition besides Clemson?
Yeah.
Well, and who brings fans to Doak?
Yeah, Georgia Tech would. Maybe if they
got that stupid car.
It's putting lipstick on a pig. If they realigned and put Georgia Tech into the Atlantic Division, that way there'd be more matchups with Florida State. And I got a buddy in Pittsburgh who's like every year asks me, "Hey man, you guys playing Pittsburgh?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, "We're never going to play Pittsburgh again, obviously, or clearly it seems like." But I would want to go hang up because I've never gone to see my buddy in Pittsburgh since he moved out there. And I was like, "Oh yeah, whenever Florida State's up there, I'll come visit you."
That was a fun trip for me to Pittsburgh, the Jameis game. That was one of my more memorable road trip experiences. It was just the whole, I got there on a Saturday night. The game wasn't until Monday night. Obviously, Jameis did what he did. The city's awesome. I really do like the city. The stadium is awesome. I got to see a Pirates game the day before. It was all good stuff.
Yeah. More to pride, Noel 850. Wake up! One question for y'all. Do the Knowles still use a 7-man sled at practice, or is that a thing of the past from the Bowden days? Yeah, no 7-man sled. I didn't see one. They don't have it.
No, they don't have that. They have the most I remember is 4, right?
Yeah.
They have a 4, and then they have the defensive tackles do that reaction sled, which is basically 3.
Yeah, like a 3-headed monster.
Yeah, and then they have the 1 that they'll use and a 2. But yeah, no 7.
Well, they showed it on Hard Knocks, I think, or I saw it on something the other day. Maybe it wasn't on Hard Knocks, but they were talking about the 7-man sled, and they had a clip of John Madden, on it, and just this is football, the 7-man sled. But
right.
They don't use it. All right, Maxwell Gibbs, Nuck if you buck, boys. Name 2 under the radar candidates that could have breakout seasons, one on offense, one on defense. I, Maxwell Gibbs, will take Warren Thompson on offense. Defense, Jamarcus Chapman.
I almost feel like we shouldn't answer this question because I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100% confident, it's like 82% confident that Maxwell asked this same question to us on Seminole Headlines.
Oh.
And I'm like, Max G, my dog.
Whoa, dude.
You got to save it for one or the other, man. You can't have us both because number one, you're getting the same answer out of me twice. So that doesn't make any sense. So just save it for the word. And Seminole Headlines gets way too many questions anyway. Wake Up War Chant, you earn it because you're a subscriber. You get to really sink in and ask your question. So save the great questions for Wake Up War Chant. And I think I said under the radar, man. I think that's when I brought up Jordan Young.
Okay.
That he's a guy that nobody really ever talks about, but holy moly, does he look like he's got some skills. I don't know on defense. Who do you think on defense?
You can't really say Travis J or Akeem. Because...
You can. Yeah, exactly. Like, who's really under the radar? Yeah. Like, those 2 guys are big-time recruits. I don't know if they count as under the radar.
I'd say Kevon Glenn.
Who would constitute that?
Kevon Glenn, linebacker. I think of any – I'm actually a little bit higher on him than I am than Jaleel McRae. Most people seem to really be high on Jaleel McRae. I'm not. I haven't bought a lot of stock in Jaleel McRae. LLC, but Kevon Glenn, I think maybe I'll give him as an under the radar guy. I just noticed this, so you can like posts on warchant.com. It'll show who liked the post. The post that Maxwell Gibbs, it was liked by Ira Brofell. Ira Brofell. That's awesome.
Ira Brofell, if you're listening, please send a question. I don't care what it says. I don't care if you ask us why the chicken crossed the road. Just send us a question so we can read your name again. Ira Brofell is the best.
Maxwell Gibbs also says to our fans up in New York City, heads up, there's a Florida State bar coming up there called Wicked Willie's in the West Village. So if you're in the Manhattan area, New York City, looks like there's a bunch of Florida State bars up there in New York City, I'm pretty sure. So pretty cool.
Speaking of New York City, that's where David Berkowitz did all his terror in the late 70s. I think it was 1977 is when he was going around shooting people in cars. Just another shout out to Mindhunter. If you get a chance, watch it on Netflix. Good show. He's on it this season.
I'm not going to. You people, just this phenomenon of being obsessed with serial killers. I'll pass on this. Heartland Knoll 27. What are your guys' predictions and thoughts on how this multiple defense will look? Do you see much more pressure from defensive backs in a variety of looks, such as Kando, sometimes up and down? Just in my annual rewatch of all, actually, let's do these things. Well, actually, let me see if this all goes together. Just in my annual rewatch of all 3 national championships, I feel like we have somewhat of a chance to look similar scheme-wise to the Pruitt defense in terms of 3 down and ends playing up, creating more unpredictability. Let's not do that. Let's not evoke. Let's not do that.
I mean, they're not going to be the 2013 defense. They don't look. There's no Telvin for sure. And I love Marvin Wilson. He's a different kind of player than Timmy Jernigan. Mario Edwards was really good that season. So yeah, it's not going to be the 2013. I also wouldn't say it's going to be all that multiple. Not in the multiple in the sense that you think, okay, one series are going to be 3-4, one series are going to be 4-3. I feel like they keep saying how multiple they are. Have we ever seen them? And granted, we're not at practice for the whole duration. We see 30 minutes of a 2-hour practice. But Aslan, have you seen them at all this whole August in anything but a 3-4 alignment?
Dramatically leans into the microphone on the testimony stand. No, Your Honor.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So they're not going to be multiple, but I do think that there is a real reason to think that they're going to get pressure from different areas. I do think that's what the 3-4 helps you with, is you can blitz from different packages. You can blitz from different angles. You have 4 guys that can essentially blitz on every play.
Yeah. Kando, yeah, they can be multiple in terms of what they want these guys to do. I mean, he can put his hand in the dirt. He can stand up. He can come from different sides, different angles. I will say, so the outside linebacker seems like they're going to have maybe they're the biggest wrinkle in this entire 3-4 kind of arrangement, it seems like. And by and large, what we're seeing them do in the portions of practice that are open to the media, it's a lot of blitz disguise. It's a lot of it's literally it's nothing even physical. Like, they're not hitting each other, but it's Mark Snyder basically teaching them how to creep up to the line and feint that you're showing blitz, but then to be able to drop back properly into your zone in time and not get burnt. So it's a lot of catch you by surprise. Let's not be so predictable, which is interesting because it seems to run completely contrary to what they were trying to get done in the second half of last season when the struggles really started happening, because the whole thing from Harlan was we've got to, we're trying to make it as simple as possible for these guys. And now it's, maybe they're still trying to make it easy, but just make it look complex. But that's what they're doing. I mean, at least that's Mark Snyder's sort of MO right now. His charge is to make these guys, conceal the blitz. Don't, disguise it and then, hit them when they don't expect it. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, and also that's the only way they're really going to get pressure this year.
Yeah.
Is number one, blitzing. When you're in a 3-4, that's kind of how it works. As Travis Johnson talked about, you got to have dynamic linebackers. By the way, was Kando at practice on Wednesday as well?
He was. Yes, he was. Yeah,
okay, so that's 2 in a row. So you got to figure that he's going to be ready to go for the opener.
Lombardi watch.
So you got to hope that he can take that next step and become a real player for this program.
Heartland Knoll 27 also says, it's fun to think about what freshman would step up to be the Ramsey in this class. Been a listener for years from Wichita, Kansas. Told the wife, I'm no doubt getting an account this year. Keep up the great work. Well, that'll get you a like, Heartland Knoll. Welcome to the family.
Yeah, especially if you get that $75 Adidas.
Yeah.
What do we got, one more day for that?
One more day. Use the promo code Adidas. Yeah, there's I would say that if you want to go 2013, there might be a really dynamic defensive back, true freshman. Maybe Akeem or Travis J might be able to have some sort of impact on games the way that Jalen did. Maybe not to that extent, but, somewhat similar. Give you a little taste of what's to come.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you're not going to get another – there aren't a ton of Jalen Ramseys out there, but you want a guy that can – both those guys seem like they can really, really play, and they're really excited about both of them.
Yeah. Primetime 92. Go to sleep. I mean, wake up. Thanks for answering my Dante Lucas question, honestly, last week with you guys versus him in the Oklahoma drill. I could see Ira taking that block and maybe even swimming him for a TFL. My question is, out of the whole War Chant staff, who could eat the most Zaxby's chicken fingers in one sitting? I don't know who would win it, but I have a feeling Gene would come in last place. Thanks again. I got this one. I think I'd win. Although I think
so
Langston might be
I had dinner
dark
tonight.
horse.
We're doing this at night, late Wednesday night, and I had chicken wings at the place I was at tonight, and I only ate 7 of them. And the last one I didn't even really enjoy that much. So I don't know what's going on with me, just getting old, not being able to put it away like I used to, even though my belly keeps getting bigger. I can't put it away like I used to, so I definitely wouldn't take it. Yeah. So I would guess you were Ira.
I think Langston's a dark horse in this one.
You know what? Yeah,
absolutely.
I think Langston would just eat like a horse with oats, like horse at a trough. Just put it in front of him, and he's going to eat whatever you give him.
Let's take a break.
At Birch Orthodontics, they know what a difference a beautiful and healthy smile can make in your life.
They take the time to get to know you and perform a thorough exam so that they can make an individualized treatment plan just for you or your child.
They use the latest technology in a warm and comfortable environment. So whether you are interested in traditional metal or clear braces or clear aligners, they can give you the smile you deserve. They know investing in your smile means investing in your future. And at Birch Orthodontics, they are honored to be a part of your smile journey.
Serving Tallahassee for 16 years and supporting the Knolls since forever. Check them out at birchorthodontics.com. BURCH orthodontics.com. We're back. Wake up! That's what Tennis Ump says. What kind of improvement, guys, are you expecting on special teams now that Mark Snyder has taken over? Kickoff returns, which we have traditionally been solid, were pretty dismal last season. What are your expectations? Thanks.
So yeah, they're for better special teams performances. Who knows? It really is a wild card from year to year. Other than, I guess, Virginia Tech in like the 2000s, you don't think of programs and you're like, wow, they always have great special teams. Like Florida State was awesome in 2013, but they also had awesome players. I don't know. They weren't very good after that. They weren't incredible after that. I think the big thing with Florida State is, number one, it's all about field position. And we all know it, but you can't return a ball that's 3 yards deep in the end zone that was kicked to the moon, because you're not going to get to the 10. Plus, you're going to block in the back. So know to fair catch that, be taught and coached to fair catch that, and start your drive at the 25. At the same token, every time you punt, you can't kick line drives right down the middle of the field. Because that, again, you might kick it 50 yards on a line, but he's going to return it 18 yards. So you got a 32 net. That didn't do you any good either. So I think that's the stuff that I think we'll see dramatic improvement in. As far as like busting a return or tackling every guy inside the 15 when they try to return something, we'll see. But I do think they'll be coached up better in that sense, that Logan Tyler, gosh darn it, if you punt another one right down the middle of the field, a line drive, you're not punting anymore. And also Keyshawn, if he kicks it to the moon and you catch it a yard deep in the corner, you better fair catch that thing. I do think that both of those will be much better. And that's going to cost. I mean, you're winning 30 or 40 yards in field position just by getting better at those two things.
Well said. John Henry Jones Jr. Hey, Aslan and Corey. Awesome off-season work. Thanks for keeping us updated and sane. I'm from Longmont, Colorado. Our most famous person is Kristen Schaal, comedian, actress, and voice actress, probably most notable for doing the voice of Louise on Bob's Burgers. She also played Mel on Flight of the Conchords. I know
her. Yeah. I didn't know the first part, but yeah, she was funny in Flight of the Conchords. Did you ever watch that show, by the way?
I loved it. It was amazing. The second season was horrible. Or the third season. They had.
It was the second.
The first season was amazing. The second one was like, eh.
The first season, because they were like a traveling comedy duo, and so they had those songs forever. Yeah. They just made those songs they had taken years to write.
Exactly.
They just made that the first show, the first series, the first season of the show, and then the second season they're like, oh, we got to come up with new songs.
Yeah.
So it wasn't. I mean, I think what's his name? What was his name? Murray, the consulate.
Yeah,
he was awesome in both seasons.
Yeah.
But the songs in the first season
were amazing.
Were just unbelievable. All of them were just. It was an incredible first season of a show. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead with the question.
They call me the hippopotamus.
Yeah, the rhinoceros, and it's not crying. I'm not crying. It's just raining on my face.
Yeah,
just all that stuff, man, was just awesome.
Yeah. Before we get into football season, I had one last baseball question. Oh, look at this. With FSU baseball moving into the meat era, I think we need a new stadium snack tradition. Can Aslan hook the program up with a connection to get the good Iranian pistachios? I want the good stuff. Well, I thought we were going to go somewhere different there. So instead of like peanuts, now we just eat Iranian pistachios? If I
I
could,
thought it was
I
going to have
would.
something to do with meat.
Meat. So did I. John Henry Jones Jr., you're in Longmont, Colorado. If you're going to come to any – I've got a fresh kilo I just busted open, which I love how if the FBI is tapping into my phone line with my mother, they're going to think that we're some sort of big drug conglomerate because I'm just like, Mom, I need another key. She's like, all right, I got you. So, but it's just kilos of pistachios. But if you're in Tallahassee in the next month and a half, I should still have some left. I ration them out quite well. I can offer you some. Corey, next time you're over, remind me. I'll give you. It'll change your life. They're amazing.
I've never seen you eat a pistachio. And also, are they like an Iranian treat?
Yeah, they're literally the number one export is petroleum, obviously. But then number two is pistachios. There's something about the soil and everything in the country that, I mean, pistachios are, you'll never be able to eat a California domestic pistachio and enjoy it. It's that good.
Oh, all right. I didn't realize that at all. There you go. We're learning stuff.
It'll change your life. My thoughts, John Henry Jones Jr., he says, on the team trips to IMG is that it's an amazing chance to do a dry run for traveling to away games. I think this might be more valuable than team building or actual practice, but no one really mentions that angle. Oh, yeah, and I want Miami to beat Florida this weekend and then come into Doak undefeated so we can crush their disgusting hopes and dreams. Thanks, John.
That never works out, though.
Ever.
Like when Florida State's just kind of okay, and you're like, I want so-and-so to be undefeated when they come here so we can end their dream. No. Florida State isn't that school. They don't do that. They don't end dreams. They realize their own dreams by having great seasons, but they don't go in a down year and just end other people's dreams, except, I guess, Boston College, Matt Ryan's last year. That's the only one I can think of off the top of my head.
I just remember those Tebow years. Everyone's like, "Yeah, good. Let them come into. Let them be undefeated that last weekend in November." I'm like, "No, absolutely not. I don't trust us to be the ones to end their season."
Absolutely.
B. Muriel 66 or B. Morial 66. If I said it wrong, I apologize, friend. Wake up. My name's Brett. I'm from South Florida. Following up from last week, number 66. Yes, big fan of Mario Lemieux. But it also was my high school football number where I played against FSU alum Anton Smith all 4 years. If you did not stop him backfield before he started, he wasn't stopped. LOL. Two questions.
Yeah, he scored a lot of touchdowns in high school.
Good, man. It's like his high school tape was just toss sweeps, 60-yard touchdowns, like nothing. Two questions. Is Chief Osceola and Renegade traveling to Jacksonville for the opener? I would think so. I don't know, but I would think so. Two.
I would imagine they will, and hopefully he doesn't flip out like he did in the Orange Bowl.
Two, does Kendall Browse's offense utilize a tight end? I feel like in past regimes we had great involvement from the tight end, but last year Taggart fell flat in that area. I don't think. I mean, define utilize. I mean, they're out there. They're running routes. I don't know how many plays they're primary on.
I think he's had guys with over 400 yards. So you're looking at somebody that's accounting for like 35 yards a game, which, you don't want to sneeze at that. That's something. But it's, again, and also I want to say this, like it's not like even in the NFL anymore, other than a couple of obvious exceptions like a Gronkowski before he retired, Kelsey with the Chiefs, Antonio Gates back when he was great, Tony Gonzalez, the tight end isn't utilized all that much where he's going to be an enormous weapon. These receivers are so fast and so talented. Why are you going to waste time to throw it to the 250-pound guy when you can throw it to the Tamorian Terrys of the world?
Yeah,
but I will say this: the middle of the and you have slot guys that you trust to get open in the middle of the field. But I will say this: I do think he likes these guys, and I do think that they'll have a role and an impact. But I wouldn't expect anything more than all told, maybe 510 yards receiving from your tight ends combined, maybe. I think would be a good year.
Right. Yeah, I think, everyone just remembers how cool it was to have Nick O'Leary. I think people look at, obviously, what Miami's had at the tight end position over the years, Florida with, some of the guys they've had. So,
But those were all long ago.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about Hernandez and obviously Shockey and Winslow and those guys. It's a different game, man. Like the tight end has been replaced kind of by the slot guy.
Right.
So would you rather throw to Trey McKinney or do you want to throw to Keyshawn Helton?
Yeah, that's a good question. Here's another good question. Drill Sergeant Porter. Hey, guys, thanks for answering my question last week. I think I'll go with Miami this week and not due to any conference affiliation, but just from the standpoint that Florida is extremely arrogant, and I'm not a big fan of their current coach. Anyways, I am curious, other than the obvious answer being our offensive line, which unit or part of our team are you most anxious or curious about when we play the potato humpers, as Corey calls them? Thanks for all you do to make life bearable in Ohio or anytime I'm away on military duty. And as always, go Noles! Well, Drill Sergeant Porter, thank you, man. Thanks for making us part of your day, man. Hopefully, glad we could cheer it up.
And thanks for your service. I assume we're to think that, not to think, that sounds like he's trying to get one over on us, but he's in the military, correct? From that question?
He says he's away on military duty, so sounds
that
legit.
would lead us to believe that he's in the military, so we appreciate your service. Hopefully you're in one of the cool parts of Ohio.
Right.
And
quarterback. I really want to see
what
quarterback.
Do you mean?
He's asking what unit are we most anxious or curious about when we play Boise?
Man, I'm going to say receiver.
Okay.
Only because I think we think they're good. But I want to see if they have a chance to be as special as I think they do. Like, you just look at this unit, man. We are definitely, both of us are sold on Keyshawn Helton. We all know about 15. And then you and me, when we watch DJ Matthews, and again, it might have something to do with that 7. I'm telling you guys, you haven't seen it yet. Wait till you see him running around in that 7 jersey. It just looks different. It feels different. It feels right. It's like, holy moly, is that kid electric.
But the practice jersey is a white 7.
You're right. It's a white number 7. It's not going to be nearly as cool with whatever they're going to be wearing on that opening night. Yeah. But I think DJ Matthews, Keyshawn Helton, and Tamori and Terry, I think we all know how good they can be, and we're all expecting really good seasons out of them. But then you're also thinking about a Warren Thompson and a Keith Gavin and a Jordan Young and these guys, a DeMarcus Adams, and you're like, man, is this wide receiver group as good and as deep and as electric as I think they are? And so that's the one. We know they're going to be pretty good, but I want to see if they have a chance to be like special, like really, really good.
Yeah, good one. Bimini Bound.
Thanks, buddy.
Tweets out the audio from the Cannell interview with Taggart about the backpack. Is it official, he asks. Yep, sounds like it. Cleve Dog FSU 22. By the way, Bimini, good to hear from you, friend. Cleve Dog FSU 22. Corey Aslan, wake up. I can feel it coming. Winter is coming. LOL, he says in my Game of Thrones voice. More like FSU in college football season, my friends. I am super stoked. 3 exclamation marks. I have listened to every one of their opinions about FSU and claiming 8 to 9 wins this season. I say rubbish to all of that. I think Coach Taggart and the coaching staff has it figured out. The distractions are gone. The players have matured. They have finally gotten rid of that stupid backpack, and now they are focused in to right the ship. Clemson is going to lose 2 games this season. One to A&M, the other to FSU. What say you, gentlemen? I love the show, and I'm starting to turn into a chicken because Zaxby's has become my go-to restaurant. Zaxby's Salads rock. All caps,
for life.
3 exclamation marks.
Zaxby's for life.
Clemson losing 2 games. I don't think so.
I mean, I wouldn't be stunned if they lost to A&M. They almost lost to them last year, but I'm not expecting that.
Well, they could lose in the playoff.
I would be stunned if they lost to Florida State.
Stunned.
On August absolutely
22nd.
Stunned.
But once you see this thing racking up yards, they're 5-0 going to Death Valley. You're going to change your tune.
That's true, man. Ask me after the Virginia game. Yeah. If they're 3-0 after the Virginia game and just put up 40 in Charlottesville, I will change my perspective and I will change my expectations. But right now, thinking about Florida State beating Clemson in Death Valley a year after losing by 50 points, I would be pretty stunned.
We got about 4 questions left. Let's try to power through as we approach the hour
Let's
mark.
do it.
Leon Knoll 12. Wake up, fellas. My daughter turned 6 months old on Sunday. Do we say like happy belated or like?
Just congratulations on having a daughter or a kid in general.
That's awesome, man. I was just wondering how much longer until she can have Zaxby's. I would say.
Oh, I would think
ask your pediatrician.
Right tomorrow.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Maybe ask your pediatrician. But I think you can put Zax sauce. I think Zax sauce is fine with anything. If you want to add that into her puree of food, she'll be fine.
I'm sure she's eating fruit or something. Like you can give. I don't remember Brady at 6 months really anymore, but I feel like we were giving him fruit. And if we'd have dipped that fruit in Zax sauce, I mean, he would have loved it.
Maybe he'd be.
So go with Zax sauce first, and then see if you can build up from there.
With opening game a little over a week away, I was wondering, what is your favorite FSU opening game memory? Corey, keep up the great work. Aslan, just keep up the good music selection.
There you go. That's solid.
It's kind of rude.
I mean,
rude.
mine, the one off the top of my head is the Pitt game.
Okay.
I mean, that was extraordinary. No, even as excited as all of us were about Jameis Winston, you have to remember where the Florida State fan base was, man. Like we had just seen EJ Manuel, who was supposed to be awesome, kind of just be pretty good. So nobody was expecting incredible things out of Jameis Winston. Certainly not his first game as a starting quarterback. And then he goes out there and shows you this world of possibilities. Like, holy moly, this guy might be the best quarterback that's ever lived. Type of stuff. Like, I know he's not, but at that moment you watch that and you're like, this is as good as that position can be played. And, whatever it was, 4 months later, he was winning a national championship. So that day, that moment, that game will always stick out with me as one of the all-time great openers. Just really just completely unforeseen. I thought Florida State would win, or I figured they would win, but I thought it would be an ugly slugfest. I didn't think it would be, holy moly, this guy's awesome. What about you?
All of them pretty much. I'm surprised you didn't go like 93 Meadowlands, Kansas, It
was Kansas, though. I get the goal line stand, and it was awesome. Yeah. But also, you're allowed to not jump off sides every play. Like, the reason they had 8 stops inside the 5 is because they kept lining up off sides. But, yeah, I mean, that was a great win and a great game, but it was also Kansas. They were going to win that game whether they got that goal line stand or not. Yeah. I'm trying to think of another one off the top of my head, and I just remember
really
all the
ones when I remember like 2002. We're back. We had a 1-year hiccup playing Iowa State. Seneca Wallace running to the pylon and being at my buddy's house. Everybody watching it on pins and needles. Like, did he go? Did he make it? Did he not? 2003. We're back. 2002 was just another blip, and then Greg Jones decapitating Dexter Reed, and everybody at my apartment went absolutely nuts. 2005, Miami, the Muff, that was the first game I ever worked as working media and sports as an intern with War Channel. That was an ugly, hideous, atrocious football game, but I'll remember the whole Muff and everything happening against Miami 2005. So I'd probably say 2002 is actually, believe it, that Iowa State game was just, it was actually it was a good house party. There were so many people, there was good energy. That's probably my favorite one.
I would say the most memorable ever season opening play was the Greg Jones North Carolina game, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's one of the all-time Florida State plays anyway, and it happened and they won that game, whatever it was, 33 or 37-0.
Yep.
And then he had that play, and I remember being at my dad's with a bunch of my buddies, but none of my buddies were really Florida State fans. But we were all watching the game. There were probably 15 of us, and you would have thought, I mean, it was as loud as a play has ever been for people that didn't care about a game. Like, just an ooh, like the whole, all of us. Like, it was like everybody jumped up out of their seat, and none of them even cared about Florida State. It was something like raw, and I don't even know how to describe it. It was just animalistic. Seeing a guy just completely dehumanize another person on a football field when you're not running backs don't do that. It was just, I'll never forget that sound.
And it was totally within the rules of the game, which is the beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
There wasn't anything.
Sorry, Dexter.
About it. Tommy Hawk Chop, night War Chant with these late practices. Dr. Birch rocks, by the way. She has done all my children, 3 of them, and myself, and is a skilled orthodontist, super nice, and a loyal Knoll fan her whole life. I mean,
we go.
Tommy Hawk Chop said it, so there you go. I started this year with pessimism. After preseason began, started sipping the Kool-Aid. Now y'all have started adding lemons about the defense. Not that I disagree, but how do you not field a great defense with all that blue chip talent? Corey, do you think that Kendall Browse will have a quick hook on the quarterback, gun shy from last year?
I've been thinking about that, like what his process is. I should go back and look and see how many times he's like pulled the quarterback for bad play. I do think he'll have a quick hook. I think if James Blackman, unless it's not nearly as close as we think, like if James Blackman is far and away winning this competition and it's not close, then yeah, I think obviously the hook is a little longer. But I think I don't know if that works. A long hook. I don't know if that really translates into what I'm saying, but you know what I mean.
Right.
He won't have a short hook. But I if it's kind of close, then yeah, I think if James Blackman struggles out of the gate and isn't seeing what Kendall is seeing and isn't throwing it to where he needs to be throwing it, he doesn't owe James Blackman anything. He didn't recruit this kid. He recruited Hornibrook more than he recruited James Blackman. And again, I'm going under the assumption that Blackman will be the starter. We don't know that for sure. But if Blackman's the starter and he struggles for a quarter and a half or for a half, Kendall Briles will have no will have no trouble saying, you know what, I'm going to try something different. I can't watch this anymore.
You never like my suggestions, by the way. Go ahead.
Do what?
You never like my suggestions. Like when you're at a loss for word, I'll offer one up, and you never use it.
I can't ever hear you because of the way the connection is. Yeah. So I don't hear your. What'd you say?
Qualms.
No, qualms is a great word, man. It's about time you started adding something to this program.
There you go.
But qualms is a terrific word, Aslan. Good work. Yeah. I have no qualms telling you that. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't think Kendall Briles will have any qualms taking James Blackman out if he's ineffective through 4 or 5 series, or if he's just not seeing it.
Okay.
I don't expect that to happen. I'm not saying that is going to happen. But again, Kendall Briles didn't recruit this kid. It's not his guy. He's trying to score points and win games. And if James Blackman is struggling, and if they're kind of close, he'd be like, all right, well, I'm going to go with the guy. Hopefully this guy will be better. And then next week we'll see again.
How do you not feel the great defense with all that blue chip talent? Maybe you just don't have the right personnel and the right pieces. This is a shot at the coaching staff, and I really don't intend it to be, but I do wonder how much of it is just clearly defining, your role. Listen, I would absolutely hate to be a defensive coordinator with the amount of stuff offenses can get away with and what they can do. And I mean, just imagine having to 3rd and 4 on, your own 26-yard line and like a 2-point game. They can do whatever. I mean, they could run from 3rd and 4. It's be such a difficult thing. And there's keys and there's to every play, every scenario, and they're yelling 100 things at these kids. Watch the ball. Don't jump off sides. Like, watch the receiver in motion. Like, they're yelling 30 things at these kids, and they're having to process all this stuff in such a short amount of time. I do think a lot of it just comes down to the confidence in what you're trying to teach and being able to clearly define it to these kids. I think that's Charles Kelly. He always had that look of like frustration, confusion, and you're like, man, maybe this is why they're not lining up right and they're not alignment and assignment and fitting properly. Because I guess last year you could say linebackers weren't there up to snuff. The defensive line seemed to be good enough to not get run through for 300 yards against Notre Dame or whatever it was. The secondary seemed to have the right pieces, but maybe they're playing out of position. Well, we'll see, though. They got 3-4. It's a new day. We'll be optimistic. Idaho.
Yeah, I would say real quick, most of that blue chip talent, quote unquote, is in the secondary. And it doesn't matter. You could have Deion, Buckley, Rod Woodson, whoever you want in the secondary. If you can't control the line of scrimmage, or if you can't get home, and if your front 7 isn't very good, or in this case front 8, it just doesn't matter. And I don't know. I'm not convinced of how good the defensive line is. I'm convinced in those first 3 guys. But after that, and there are going to be other guys that have to play, we don't know. And I'm also nobody's convinced with the linebackers. So again, that's where I think the blue chip, a lot of their 4- and 5-star guys are in the secondary playing the same positions. You wish you had some elite pass rushers and some elite linebackers.
Well, we thought Kane-Do would be that guy. He's got this year.
Hey, this is the year. Crap or get off the pot, as Travis Johnson said.
Idaho Knoll. Hey, Corey and Aslan. Greetings from Pocatello, Idaho, home of Taysom Hill of the New Orleans Saints, Dirk Cutter, former Tampa Bay head coach, and Merrill Hodge of ESPN. I grew up in Tallahassee.
That's a lot for I would assume, a small town in Idaho.
Yeah, strong. I grew up in Tallahassee during the glory years of the 80s and early 90s. How great it was to be a Knoll fan back then. I have wonderful memories. I have resided in the beautiful state of Idaho for 19 years now. I'm a mother of 5, grandmother to 1. I have raised my kids to bleed garnet and gold, which they all do. Go me! Dang right. I want you both to know that I am listening to every single podcast as I go on my morning walks, and I really appreciate having a connection to my hometown and beloved Seminoles when I live so far away. Y'all do a great job, so thanks so much for keeping me in the loop. I don't have a question, just a statement of fact. Life's going to be brutal for me and my family if our Noles lose to Boise State. I'm a vocal, proud Nole fan, and everyone in my community that knows me knows that. Never did I ever think there was even a possibility of losing to Boise State until last season happened. So selfishly, here's to hoping and praying my Seminoles come out victorious so I don't have to endure the ridicule that will surely come if we lose. Thanks, guys. I do love listening to you each day. Also, I think Brady should come on the show from time to time. I enjoy hearing stories about him. Oh, and one more thing. It's pronounced Boise, not Boise. But what do I care? Go Noles!
Wait, so how did she spell Boise?
Boy, as in boy band, and then just the letter C, as in Charlie.
It's pronounced Boise?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Come on, Idaho. Yeah. You're lucky we're talking about you at all, Idaho. Don't correct us on the way we pronounce your biggest city. I assume Boise.
It is.
Boise, that doesn't even sound right, does it? I assume that's your biggest city. But how awesome is this country? How awesome is just this being in 2019? Base. We've had 2 listeners, one from Colorado and one from Idaho. Yeah. I mean, it's awesome. And I bet you Idaho, I don't know if I could live in Idaho just because I grew up in Atlanta. Now I live part-time between Atlanta and Tallahassee. I'm kind of used to the fast-paced life. But I understand that appeal, man, of being out there in the country. Everything is just slowed down, and it's really pretty. And I could get behind that. I think there's a chance I could live in Idaho.
It is.
What about you?
Absolutely. I remember when I was looking for my first TV job, I kind of had my, there was a job that opened up in Boise. And I was really, I remember doing some research about the town and looking at a place to live. I'm like, this would actually be a really cool city to live in. It was really pretty, really affordable. I'm like, heck yeah. I'm like, let me do this. But I didn't get the job. But it all worked out.
Oh, well,
fine.
What are you going to do?
Life happens.
But yeah, in just this country in itself, we have, Idaho is such a completely different existence than Tallahassee or Atlanta or New York City, where Maxwell G is hanging out.
Yeah.
Or Denver. Like it's a pretty remarkable country. I'm excited about this country sometimes.
I like it. Clark 2020.
That's right.
Last one, we made it. Taze.
And if we get Greenland, holy moly, what a country this will be.
Watch out. And a country to be named later. All right. Taze 239. Wake up. What's up, Corey? What's up, Aslan? This is the greatest podcast ever created.
Absolutely.
My name is Tay Sanders. I am from Naples, Florida, home of Carlos Hyde, Fred McCrary, both Naples High grads. Also, Jonathan Isaac, Berrien Collier High. Noel Great, current Orlando Magic starter. The amount of content you guys put out is amazing. Love everything you guys do and all your hard work. Aslan, there's a Zaxby's about 20 to 30 minutes north of Naples, and I try to make it every chance I get. Wings and Things is my go-to. My first thought is, I think Coach Tagg will tell us who the starter will be during his interview on Monday, which in my opinion should be JB1. That's James Blackman, everybody. I think he has paid his dues in order for him to get his shot. Don't you? One more thing. This is for the guy who wanted to name his kid after Winston. My baby boy turns 1 next Friday. His name is Deion Sanders, and we are from the same area, 30 minutes south of Fort Myers, where the original primetime grew up. P.S. I have been working overnight security about 4 years. Monster Energy drink gets me through the night. I may have dozed off once or twice, but really, who knows? Thank you guys for all you do. Corey is one of the funniest people on the planet. Hashtag Go Noles. Primetime Part 2 coming soon.
17 years from now, right? We'll be reading about Deion Sanders. Now, do you think that's his last name, or do you think Sanders is his middle name?
No, dude. The guy Tay S239 said, "Hi, my name is Tay Sanders."
Oh, so his name is Deion Sanders?
Yeah,
that's right, Tay. That's beautiful, man. That's perfect.
Let's go.
Deion's an awesome name anyway. I don't understand how there's not a bunch of Deions running around. Because Deion is just a cool name. But Deion Sanders, man, that's too much. That's perfect.
Yeah, in my opinion, it should be James Blackman. He's paid. I mean, I know this is not a feel-good business anymore because it is a business after all. It's all about results. You got to start him. You got to start him. Let him do what he's. And Corey's talking about 4 or 5.
It ain't James Black. It's not James Blackman breathing down his, or not James Blackman. It's not Jameis Winston breathing down his neck. Look, I've said all I need to say about Hornibrook, but anybody that's listened to the show knows that I just think he's an okay quarterback. So it's not like he's trying to hold off this super duper star. So everything being close to equal, you would think that James Blackman obviously gets the starting nod.
I just hope he gets more than 4 or 5 drives, like you said. Even if he's unless he throws 2 picks in 4 drives, then I guess you can give him the hook. But I just think that I think what we saw from him in 2017 is kind of what his makeup is. I think he'll probably be a slow starter, but I think he'll close out most games strong if you just kind of hang with him. And I'm hoping that maybe he's matured enough and has developed enough of his game that maybe he won't have as many. But he's just that kind of guy. I feel like if a game is close, I think he's the kind of guy that when it really push comes to shove, rubber hits the road, all that cliche nonsense, like he does find a way to play his best. The Miami drive, that final drive, the touchdown he threw to Izzo, that drive was really great for true freshman. The Louisville game, I know he fumbled the ball, but he looked really good in the second half of that game. He lit up Florida. Say what you will about how terrible Florida was that year. They still had a pretty good defense. And he looked really good in those last 2 bowl games. He threw for over 400 yards against NC State. That game's a little bit misleading. Take him for what he's worth and ride with the bad moments. I think the good moments will outweigh the bad with him. That's just me, though.
Yeah, I do. And again, going back to the other thing I was saying, if they don't, Bryles and Taggart won't be hesitant in making a change. But I don't foresee that happening. I think Blackman is he's not a superstar. He's not a Heisman Trophy candidate. He's not an All-American candidate. But he is certainly good enough to lead this offense. And, he's just a sophomore. So, there's a chance by the time he's a senior, he's awesome in this offense. Maybe not, but there's a chance he's going to be awesome in this offense. And I just think that he's to me anyway. And again, we don't get to watch the last hour and a half of practices. So take that for what it's worth. But he seems like the definite number one. And I do agree that it might be Monday when Taggart names him. But again, Willie might wait till Saturday. Boise State still hasn't named their starting quarterback. So again, I would hope he name him by Monday. I think they will know. I think even if they don't name who it is, they will know by Monday who their starting quarterback is going to be. They just might not tell us.
Corey, how brutal are the days that you do this show and headlines?
Yeah, man, I get tired of hearing myself talk. Luckily, this isn't one of those days. That was yesterday's show. That I was just like, I don't want to hear myself. I'm tired. I listen to the voices in my head enough anyway. Right. I hate to verbalize them. Like nobody needs to hear that. But yeah, I wouldn't say brutal. I'm not digging ditches. I'm not doing real work. But I feel like I always try to keep it where I'm not saying the same thing over and over again. I don't want to bore myself.
Yeah.
So that's the thing I'm most concerned about is if I'm boring myself, which happens a good bit, I'm like, boy, these listeners must be just hating me right now. Yeah. And Lord knows you're not going to bring it. So I got to do what I can. You're just going to talk about pistachios. Whatever. So I got to try to figure out a way to make this thing entertaining.
I did 35 minutes of the show fell, and we just went an hour 15 on this. So we're done. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll wrap up the week. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening. Have a great one, everybody.
Unlike fanny packs, bowl cuts, and troll dolls, the sensation is back. Only at Zaxby's. The Sensation Salad and the new Sensation Filet Sandwich features hand-breaded chicken, Asian slaw, wonton strips, and citrus vinaigrette. And both are served with an egg roll. The Sensation Salad and the new Sensation Filet Sandwich meal for a limited time only at Zaxby's. And skip the line when you order ahead on the Zaxby's app or on Zaxby's.com.